Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing a deep dive into a devotional series by Greg Elkin. It's called Unconditional Love. Our mission today basically is to unpack Elkin's big idea that there are these two fundamentally different kinds of love, human love and divine love. Yeah. And understanding that difference, he argues it's absolutely critical for applying your faith in the real world. We want to see how this actually works. And Greg, he opens his series day one with this great little anecdote. He saw an ad for a singles program, and the headline was just, "Is love enough?"
Right.
And his immediate thought was, oh, here we go. You know, like they're going to lay down the quote-unquote harsh truth for these singles.
Practical stuff.
Exactly. Love is nice, sure, but you need patience. You need knowledge, shared values, and let's be honest, probably a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? That's sort of the default setting we all have.
It's totally the natural, rational response, isn't it? We're kind of taught that feelings, well, they fade, but structure, that's what lasts. So when Greg actually asked a friend who went to this thing what the panel decided, the answer was surprising. The friend just said, yeah, love was enough.
You must have been taken aback.
Oh, completely. Greg Elkin writes, he was just floored. Like, what panel of experienced people would sell that kind of, well, almost sentimental idea to singles looking for real advice? But then, and this is the kicker, the friend added that crucial little phrase. They meant God's kind of love, not human love.
Oh, okay. And that one clarification just changes everything, doesn't it? Flips the whole script from, like, feelings to something else. But Greg, you know, being thoughtful, he kind of pushes back in his notes. And it's a fair question. I think we all wonder this. What about all those acts of sacrificial love we do see? You know, human love, like a parent giving up a dream for a kid, or a spouse forgiving something really deep. That takes immense strength. Isn't that love enough?
Yeah, and that's a really valid point to bring up. Elkin definitely acknowledges those acts are noble. They're powerful examples of human affection, absolutely. But the way he frames it is interesting. He sees them more as like an imitation of divine love rather than the divine source itself.
Okay.
So human love, what theology might call filio, that brotherly affection, or eros, romantic love, it's strong, yeah, but it's fundamentally conditional. That operates on, let's say, a finite power source.
Right. It can run out.
Exactly. Elkin's core point in day one is that human love, no matter how sacrificial or well-meaning it seems, it eventually hits empty, especially when the sacrifice isn't returned or things get really tough. It can't sustain something like a lifelong marriage on its own fumes. It needs, refueling.
But God's love is different.
That's the argument. God's love, it's defined by its source. It's fundamentally different, drawing from an infinite well. And that, Elkin argues, is why it can sustain the commitment.
Okay, so the source is everything. That distinction really sets up day two, where Greg gets into how confusing that command to love your neighbor can actually be.
It really does, because as he points out, everyone thinks they know what love means. We use the word all the time, so we just kind of skip over defining it.
Yeah, we assume we get it.
And Elkin uses that great story from Luke's Gospel, Luke 10, with the lawyer. Remember, Jesus sums up the law, love God, love your neighbor.
Right.
And the lawyer immediately zeroes in on the second part, asking, okay, well, who is my neighbor?
He wanted rules.
Yeah.
Like, tell me exactly who qualifies so I know who I have to love and who I don't. Define the scope.
Precisely. He wanted the boundaries nailed down. But notice what he didn't ask. He never said, hold on, Jesus. What kind of love are we talking about here?
His point. He just assumed the love part was obvious.
And Greg says that's the exact same issue today. We assume we understand the action love, so we pour all our energy into defining the object, our neighbor.
And this is where Greg makes a claim that, honestly, could change how you approach your faith entirely. He says the love required of believers, the love Jesus is talking about, it's supernatural.
Supernatural, meaning?
Meaning it's not just like an enhanced version of natural human kindness or affection. It's something different. It's what Paul calls the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5. It has to grow from something deeper.
Right. And this is where Elkin's language is important. He mentions you can't really demand this specific kind of love from what he terms an unregenerate person.
Okay, what does he mean by unregenerate there?
In this context, he basically means someone who's operating solely on their own natural human capacity. They might be incredibly kind people, generous, wonderful human beings, but their love, however good, is still limited by their own internal resources, their emotions, their willpower.
Gotcha, so it has limits.
It has limits, but its divine love is different because of its source. Elkin points straight to Romans 5.5, which says, this love is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit.
So it's given to us.
Exactly. It's not a feeling you have to somehow manufacture or drum up yourself. It's literally supplied to you. It's, as Greg puts it, out of this world love, because its origin isn't natural human feeling, it's God himself. And because of that source, the supply is inexhaustible.
Wow, okay. That totally reframes things. It's not about trying harder to love. It's about tapping into a different source of love.
Precisely. We're not meant to produce it by sheer grit. We're meant to draw on it.
And the whole point of drawing on it is for practical demonstration, right?
Yeah.
Greg brings up that call to action, paraphrasing Matthew 5, let your light, your love shine so people see your good works and connect it back to God.
Yeah, the demonstration of this seemingly unnatural love is what points people to the supernatural source. It validates it.
Okay, so if this love is supernatural, how does it actually look day to day? That brings us to day 3. And the famous love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13.
Ah, yes, the go-to wedding passage.
Right, and Paul lists all those characteristics. Love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, doesn't boast, it's not rude, not self-seeking, not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs. It goes on and on.
It's a powerful list. But what really jumps out at Greg Elkin, and it's kind of striking when you think about it.
What's that?
What's missing? Emotion, feelings, sentimentality, warm fuzzies. They're just not there in Paul's functional definition of what love does.
Huh. You're right. It's all actions, attitudes, decisions.
Exactly. The world tends to define love primarily as a feeling, right? Something that happens to you. But Scripture, based on this passage, seems to define it as a series of choices, a decision you make about how you will act.
That's a huge shift.
It's fundamental. And Greg drives this home looking at maybe the most famous verse, John 3.16. For God so loved the world
that he gave his only son.
Right. Now, did God feel a sudden rush of warm, fuzzy affection for a rebellious world at that moment? Greg argues, probably not. It wasn't about feeling. It was a rational, deliberate decision to act in love. The action was the love, sacrifice to find it, not sentiment.
Wow. Okay, so love isn't hostage to how we feel at any given moment. That's incredibly practical, actually.
It is. It means love isn't something that evaporates just because you had a bad day or you're tired or someone really annoyed you.
So bringing it down to us.
Yeah.
If I wake up feeling grumpy, maybe resentful towards someone, maybe a difficult neighbor or colleague, Elkin's basically saying my feelings are, well, kind of irrelevant to the command to love them.
That's exactly his point. When the Bible commands us, say in Leviticus, to love our neighbor, it's not commanding an emotion. It's not saying you have to feel warm and fuzzy. It's commanding an action. Choose to act in love towards them.
Choose to be patient. Choose to be kind. Choose not to keep score, even if you don't feel like it.
Precisely. The believer's love, because it's rooted in God's unchanging nature and decision, can be independent of our own fickle emotions or, frankly, how badly that person treated us yesterday. It becomes an act of the will, empowered by the spirit you're drawing on.
Which leads us straight into the toughest test, doesn't it? Day 4, which Greg calls love that overcomes.
Yeah.
Because the second you define love as an intentional action separate from feelings,
you realize you can actually perform that action even towards people who hurt you, deeply.
Because our natural human emotion-driven instinct when someone hurts us or betrays us, it's usually payback, right?
Yeah.
Retaliation,
Yeah.
self-protection.
Always. The human system is built on fairness, reciprocity, keeping accounts. If you wrong me, I have a right to feel angry, to withdraw, maybe even to strike back. But the biblical command flips that completely on its head. It's radical. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12.21, that right there. That's the point where basic human affection just breaks down. Affection usually needs a positive return. Agape demands sacrifice even when there's none.
And Greg points to the ultimate example, doesn't he? Jesus on the cross.
You can't avoid it. It's the absolute model. After being beaten, mocked, betrayed, his response is a prayer. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Luke 23.
That's not human nature talking.
Not even close. That's supernatural love in its purest expression. It's totally divorced from natural human feeling, which would be screaming for justice, for vindication, for revenge, maybe.
So the application Elkin draws is what? How do we live that?
He says true love finds its real test, not when things are easy, but right in those moments of offense, when you've been wronged.
And the only way to respond with good, to forgive 70 times 7, like Jesus said, is if you're not relying on your own feelings.
Exactly. It's only possible because you're drawing on that spirit-empowered, decision-based source we talked about from day 2. It's the stability of God's decision for you that enables you to make the radical decision towards others.
And this is where Greg finds the real power in it all. He argues that this kind of response, this seemingly impossible act of overcoming evil with good, that's the ultimate power.
How so?
Because it breaks the cycle. It stops hatred dead in its tracks. It silences bitterness in a way that just arguing or demanding your rights never can.
It disrupts the pattern.
Completely. And ultimately, Elkin concludes this persistent, deliberate, supernaturally fueled love and forgiveness. That's the evidence. That's the proof, as Jesus said in John 13, by which the world will know we're actually his disciples. Because it's the only thing that demonstrates we have access to something, well, beyond ourselves.
That really ties it all together. From a simple question at a singles panel to the very nature of God's love demonstrated on the cross.
Quite a journey through just a few short devotionals, isn't it? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
This was an audio recording of Elkin's Word for Today, the devotional for growing believers by Greg Elkin. For more information and other edifying resources, or to support this growing work, visit us at www.gregelkin.com. That's GREGELKAN.com. You can send your comments or questions by WhatsApp or Telegram to +234 813 664 2912. God bless you.